Imagine this. It's a quiet evening in your cozy home, the kind where you kick back with a cup of tea or coffee, feeling like the world is finally at peace. The rain taps gently on the window, a soothing rhythm that lulls you into relaxation. But then, without warning, the wind howls like a beast unleashed. Thunder cracks the sky open, and suddenly, your safe haven starts to shake. What if that storm didn't just take your roof, but handed you a lifeline you never expected? A payout bigger than the value of your entire house. Sounds impossible, right? Stick with me, because this is my story, and it might just save yours one day. My name is Alex. And back in early 2025, I was just like you, probably. Living in a modest two-story house on the outskirts of a small town in the Midwest of the USA. It wasn't a mansion, mind you, but it was home. The place where my kids grew up, where my wife and I shared lazy Sundays and holiday dinners. We bought it 15 years earlier for what felt like a steal at the time, around $200,000. By 2025, with the market being what it was worth maybe a bit more, but nothing crazy. Just a solid family spot with a creaky porch and a garden that bloomed every spring. But let's rewind a bit. Why am I telling you this? Because in 2025, storms aren't just weather anymore. They're wake-up calls. Climate change has turned our skies into unpredictable allies or enemies, depending on the day. Here in the States, we've seen more tornadoes and flash floods than ever. And across the pond in the UK, where my cousins live, those wild Atlantic gales are battering coasts like never before. Insurance companies are scrambling. Premiums are climbing. But here's the hook. The first big one. What if your policy isn't just protection? It's a secret weapon. I learned that the hard way, and it changed everything. It started with a policy review. Every year, like clockwork, I'd get that envelope from the insurer, thick with fine print that made my eyes glaze over. In 2024, rates had jumped 20% across the board, thanks to back-to-back hurricanes down south and relentless rains in the UK flooding basements from London to Liverpool. I almost let it lapse, thinking, what's the point? We're not in a flood zone. But my wife, Sarah, she was the smart one. She sat me down one night, papers spread across the kitchen table, and said, Alex, read this. Replacement cost versus actual cash value. It could mean the world. I grumbled, but I read. And boy, was she right. See, most folks grab the cheapest policy, the one that pays actual cash value, or a CV. That's basically what your house is worth on the market minus depreciation. Like how your car loses value the minute you drive it off the lot. For my old place, that would have been maybe $150,000 after wear and tear. But replacement cost value, or RCV, that's different. That's what it costs to rebuild from scratch, using today's materials and labor rates, no holding back for age. In 2025, with lumber prices up 30% from inflation and supply chain hiccups from global tensions, that number was pushing $300,000 for my house. I switched that day, paying a bit more each month, but feeling secure. Fast forward to March 2025. The weatherman had been warning about a bomb cyclone, a term that sounded more like a movie plot than real life. In the US, these things brew over the Rockies and slam the plains with ice, wind, and snow like you've never seen. My town got the full brunt. I remember tucking the kids into bed early, the 10-year-old clutching his stuffed bear, whispering, Daddy, will the house be okay? I kissed his forehead and lied through my teeth. Of course, buddy. It's built tough. Sarah and I stayed up, watching the radar on our phones, the red swirl growing like a monster on the screen. The wind picked up around midnight, rattling the windows like angry fists. By 1 a.m., it was biblical. Hail the size of golf balls pelted the roof, each thwack like a gunshot. The power flickered, then died, plunging us into darkness broken only by lightning flashes that lit the room like strobe lights. Sarah grabbed my hand, her voice steady but eyes wide. We need to get to the basement. We bundled the kids, flashlights bouncing shadows on the walls, hearts pounding. Down there, amid old boxes and holiday decorations, we huddled on sleeping bags, listening to the chaos above. Branches snapped like bones, and then, the worst sound, a long, groaning tear, like the house itself was crying out in pain. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. We emerged to a war zone. The roof was shredded, shingles scattered across the lawn like confetti from hell. The garage door hung crooked, twisted metal where our car should have been safe. Water poured through the ceiling in the living room, soaking the carpet, warping the hardwood floors we'd refinished just last year. The old oak tree in the backyard? Uprooted, its massive trunk pinning our fence like a fallen giant. I stood there, rain mixing with tears on my face, feeling the weight of it all. This wasn't just damage. It was the end of our world as we knew it. How do you even start to pick up from something like that? The kids were scared silent at first, then the questions came flooding. Why did the storm pick us, Dad? My daughter asked, her little voice cracking. Sarah wrapped her arms around them, but I saw the fear in her eyes too. We'd poured our savings into this house, our dreams into these walls. Now, it felt like everything was slipping away. That's when the second hook hits. In your darkest moment, when loss feels total, what if one phone call flips the script? I didn't know it then, but that storm wasn't just destruction. It was opportunity disguised. First things first, safety. If you're watching this and a storm's just hit, don't touch down lines. Get pros for gas leaks and document everything. I grabbed my phone right away, snapping photos from every angle. The gaping roof hole, water stains creeping up walls, hail dents on the siding like bullet holes. In 2025, apps like ClaimSnap make this easy. Tagging damage types for you. But back then, I was old school, filling my gallery with evidence. Then, the call to the insurer. Hi, this is Alex reporting a total loss from the cyclone. The rep was calm, sympathetic even. We'll send an adjuster out tomorrow. Hang tight. Waiting for that adjuster? Torture. The house smelled of wet plaster and despair. We crashed at my brother's place, a cramped apartment that made our issues feel even bigger. Nights were the worst, lying awake replaying the storm, wondering if we'd lose the house altogether. Insurance horror stories flooded my feed. Denied claims, lowball offers, families left homeless. In the UK, friends messaged about similar woes after Storm Isha earlier that year. Roofs torn off in Wales, claims tangled in red tape. Was this our fate? But Sarah, bless her, pulled up resources. Look at this, Alex. The National Flood Insurance Program in the US, or the ABI guidelines in the UK. They protect against underpayment. The adjuster arrived 2 days later. A guy named Tom in a windbreaker, clipboard in hand. He poked around, measured the roof sag, noted the tree damage. Looks bad, he said, jotting notes. But we've seen worse this season. I showed him my photos, walked him through the timeline. He nodded, but his eyes had that poker face. I'll get back in a week with an estimate. A week? In 2025, with drone tech and satellite imaging, claims should process faster. The bureaucracy moves like molasses. That's hook 3. Ever feel like the system's against you until you arm yourself with knowledge? I dove into research that night. Forums, YouTube vids, even Reddit threads from storm survivors. What I found blew my mind. Turns out, under RCV policies, insurers must cover full rebuild costs, even if it tops the house's market value. Why? Because your home isn't just bricks. It's the shelter you need, updated to code. In the US, post-Hurricane Ian reforms in 2023 made this clearer, mandating transparent valuations. In the UK, the Financial Conduct Authority pushed for fairer payouts after 2024 floods. But here's the catch. You gotta fight for it. Many get a CV by default or accept the first offer. Not me. I learned about depreciation holdbacks, where they pay actual cost minus age, then reimburse the rest once you rebuild. Emotionally, it was a roller coaster. One day, I'd be optimistic, picturing a shiny new roof. The next, despair hit like a wave. The kids missed their rooms, drawing pictures of the mean storm monster. Sarah and I argued over budgets, stress fraying our edges. But those late-night talks, huddled over laptops, bonded us. We discovered public adjusters, pros who negotiate for you on commission. In the States, they're licensed per state. In the UK, loss assessors do the same. Cost 15% of the claim, but worth it if it boosts your payout. The estimate came via email. $180,000. My heart sank. That was a CV, they said, with depreciation. The house value minus 15 years of wear. It covered cleanup, maybe a patch job, but not a full rebuild. Anger bubbled up. This is our life they're undervaluing. I yelled to Sarah. But then, hook 4. What if that lowball was just the opening bid in a game you could win? I replied politely, attaching my photos, citing policy sections on RCV. Per Clause 7B, we elected replacement cost. Please revise. Silence for days. Meanwhile, temporary fixes ate our savings. Tarps on the roof costing $2,000. Dehumidifiers humming like jet engines. Neighbors rallied, bringing casseroles and stories of their own claims. One gal down the street got double her estimate by hiring an engineer for a second opinion. Inspired, I did the same. Cost $500, but the report detailed code upgrades needed in 2025. Reinforced framing for wind. Resistance, energy-efficient windows to meet new EPA standards. Suddenly, rebuild costs jumped to $290. The insurer called back. Mr. Thompson, we've reviewed. But market value caps it. Lies. I knew better from my reading. In both US and UK law, RCV isn't capped by purchase price. It's about restoration. I escalated to a supervisor, voice steady despite the knot in my gut. This storm took our home. We're not settling for half. She paused. Then, send the engineer's report. Hope flickered, fragile as a candle in wind. Weeks blurred. Temporary housing via FEMA in the US, or council support in the UK if you're there, kept us afloat. But the emotional toll? Sleepless nights, therapy sessions we couldn't afford. Yet, in those lows, gratitude grew. For each other, for the community potlucks under tents. And education became my armor. I learned about ordinance or law coverage, an add-on that pays for code upgrades post-disaster. Mine had it, a writer may skip. That alone added $50,000 to potential payout. Finally, the revised offer. $260,000. Closer, but still short. Hook 5. Imagine staring at numbers on a screen, realizing victory is near, but requires one more push. I hired the public adjuster, a no-nonsense woman named Lisa from Chicago. She pored over the policy like a detective, spotting overlooked items. Tree removal, debris haul, even lost rent if we were landlords. But for us, living expenses. They undervalue emotional impact too, she said. Courts are leaning that way in 2025 cases. Lisa negotiated like a shark. Emails flew, calls recorded. She cited precedents. A Florida case post-Milton where RCV exceeded value by 40%, or a Scottish flood claim doubled on appeal. The insurer budged, inch by inch. Cleanup full, then structure, then contents for our soaked furniture. By month 3, the check cleared, $320,000. More than the house was worth. Tears flowed as I held that paper. Not just money, but vindication. Rebuilding started in summer 2025. Crews hammered away, turning wreckage to wonder. We upgraded. Solar panels for net zero living, a trend exploding that year with tax credits in both countries. The kids picked paint colors, excitement replacing fear. Sarah and I walked the site daily, hands clasped, dreaming bigger. That payout funded a stronger foundation, literally and figuratively. But let's pause for education. If a storm hits you, act fast. Document relentlessly. Photos, videos, receipts. Know your policy inside out. RCV over a CV every time. Get multiple estimates, hire help if needed. In the US, check NAIC resources. In the UK, money helper guides. And don't forget mental health storms scar souls too. Resources like the Red Cross offer counseling. Emotionally, this journey reshaped me. From fear to fierce advocacy. I started a local group, Storm Survivors USA UK, sharing tips online. One member, a widow in Manchester, got her claim tripled using our strategies. That's the power. One story ripples. As we moved back in October 2025, the house gleamed under autumn sun. Porch swings creaked anew, garden replanted. The storm scar remained a faint roof seam, but it reminded us, Resilience isn't given. It's claimed. So, what's your hook now? That next rain cloud? Review your policy today. It might just pay more than you ever imagined. Thanks for joining my tale. Drop a comment. Ever faced a storm? Like, subscribe for more real talk survival guides. Stay safe out there. Let's dive deeper into that policy switch, because it's where many stories like mine begin or break. Picture this. It's January 2025, post-holiday slump. Bills pile up and that insurance renewal glares from the mailbox. I almost tossed it, but Sarah's nudge changed everything. We sat with coffee, decoding terms simpler than they sound. Actual cash value? It's like selling your vintage car at auction depreciated to bits. Replacement cost? Full shop restore. No questions. Why does it matter? In 2025, rebuild costs soared. Labor shortages from migration shifts, material hikes from trade wars, lumber hit record highs. My quote jumped from $250 to $300 for a full rebuild. Worth the extra $100 monthly? Absolutely, as it turned out. The storm's approach built tension like a thriller. Alerts pinned. Severe weather inbound. I boarded windows, secured patio furniture, but doubt gnawed. What if it's not enough? Friends in the UK texted warnings from their storm-era experiences, winds clocking 100 miles per hour. Homes splintered. That night, as hail rained, memories flashed. Childhood tornado in Kansas, hiding under stairs. History repeating? The groan of beams echoed fears of collapse. In the basement, kids' whimpers mixed with prayers. Sarah whispered, "We've got each other." That's the real policy. Morning revealed devastation in detail. Living room ceiling sagged, water pooling like a lake. Kitchen cabinets warped, photos floating like ghosts. Garage flooded, tools rusted. The tree's roots tore up the yard. A metaphor for life. UPEND. Calling the claim. Voice trembling, I described it all. Reps, I'm sorry, felt hollow. Documentation became obsession. I videoed walkthroughs, narrated damage, timestamped everything. Pro tip, use cloud backup. Phones dying chaos. Brother's place was lifeline but cramped. Kids shared a room, toys piled high. Nights, Sarah cried quietly. I held her, vowing fight. Adjuster's visit. Tom seemed rushed, rain poncho dripping. He measured, but missed subtleties like attic mold risk. I pointed them out, polite but firm. See the water trail here? He added notes, but skepticism lingered. Waiting game. I scoured online. Found Insurance Information Institute stats 2024 saw 1.2 million weather claims in US, 500 million pounds in UK. Tips poured in. Avoid signing anything hasty. Request itemized breakdowns. Emotional low. Doctor's note for anxiety. First time ever. Kids' school counselor visits. But community shown church fundraiser for tarps. Neighbors hauling debris. Engineers report. Game changer. Detailed seismic retrofits required post-2024 quakes. Wind braces for 120 miles per hour gusts. Added value, proved necessity. Escalation call. Supervisor Lisa, irony listened. Policy is RCV, ma'am. She promised review. Hope sparked. Temp fixes. Roofer's blue tarp flapped like a flag of surrender. Dehumidifiers buzzed. Electricity bill spiked. Savings dipped. Credit card maxed. Public adjuster Lisa, real one, arrived like a hero. Ex-insurer herself, she knew tricks. They always lowball first, she said, coffee in hand. We mapped strategy. Timelines, evidence packets. Negotiation montage. Emails at dawn, calls mid-storm cleanup. She uncovered contents coverage for heirloom quilt Rune 5 grand alone. Revised offer brought tears of rage. Then resolve. Not enough, Lisa fired back. Cited UCC minus 258 in US. FCA rules in UK. Month 3. Final meeting via Zoom. Adjuster conceded. Payout. $320, including living expenses. Code upgrades. Rebuild joy. Architect sketched open kitchen. Kids input on bunk beds. Solar install 2025 incentives covered half. Educational deep dive. RCV explained formula. Square footage times cost per square FT. Plus features. Tools like Value Penguin Calculator help estimate. UK twist. For British viewers, buildings insurance covers structure, content separate. Storm defined as 48 miles per hour winds. Check yours. Emotional arc. From victim to victor. Therapy taught gratitude. Journaling. Storm gave stronger home. Deeper bonds. Group launch. First meet, 10 survivors sharing. Went viral on TikTok. Tips for 2026 prep. Move-in day. Barbecue on new porch. Laughter echoing. Storm's gift. Perspective. Call to action. Audit policy now. Share your story below. We're in this together. Let's flesh out the storm night more, because that's the heart pounder. As winds howled, I recalled Dad's tales of '89 hurricane. House flooded to rafters. Storms pass sun, but family endures. His words anchored me. Kids' faces in flashlight glow. Fear etched small features. Stories to distract. Goldilocks versus the big bad wind. Laughter cracked tension. Post-storm. Insurance maze. Glossary time. Deductible. Your out-of-pocket start. Mine 1% of dwelling coverage, $3,000. Documentation hacks. 360-degree videos. Before-after comparisons from Google Earth. Adjuster red flags. If they rush or downplay, flag it. Record interactions. Research rabbit hole. Books like Storm Warning by policy experts. Podcasts on claim wins. Emotional support. Joined online forum. Storm warriors. Venting with strangers turned friends. Engineers visit. Drone flyover captured hidden damage. Eaves rot. Foundation cracks from tree fall. Lisa's tactics. Role-play calls. Bulletproof arguments. Per your own manual. Section 4. Payout breakdown. 150K structure. 8OK contents. 50,000 additional living. 4OK ordinance. Rebuild choices. Eco materials. Bamboo floors. Smart home tech for alerts. Lessons. Climate adaptation. Rain gardens. Elevated utilities. For UK, flood defenses grants available 2025. Personal growth. Wrote journal. From wreckage to wonder. Group impact. Helped a vet in Texas get 200K extra. Final reflection. Storms rage, but knowledge calms. Your turn ready?